Vice President Shetima tasked Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit to redouble efforts on food security sustainability.
Cassava is a very resilient crop that can grow almost anywhere.
125 August protesters charged with terrorism offenses granted bail. And Major General Olufemi Oluyede assumes full command duties as Acting Chief of Army Staff.
My appointment as Acting Chief of Army Staff is simply to hold sway while General T.A. Chief of Army Staff is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention.
Hello and welcome to the news desk at 11 on Nta News24, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. My name is Justin Bemunyi. Nigeria will be among the top 80 countries on the Global Human Capital Index by building a healthier, better educated and empowered citizens by 2030. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this while inaugurating the HCD 2.0 strategy during a meeting of the Steering Committee of the Human Capital Development Program at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Ambitious but quite achievable. Government calling on Nigerians to embrace the Human Capital Development Program. Vice President Kashim Shettima recalled how Nigeria had faced a stark reality in 2018 when the nation's ranking on global human capital indices showed critical gaps in health, education and employment.
I urge you, let us work as a team. Nigeria is not where it ought to be. Be rest assured that we will drive this process in partnership with our friends in the development community, in the NGOs, in ECOWAS, in the Governors Forum.
This meeting is showing the urgency to address situations that compelled Nigeria to prioritize human capital development, leading to the launch of the HCD 1.0 to build a healthy, educated and productive Nigeria by 2030.
And there's some new cross-cutting elements such as gender and equal opportunities, digital economies, kind of futuristic sectors, climate change and sustainability. And then there are enablers such as data and such as the governance structure, of which the steering committee is the apex of the governance structure of the program.
The World Bank is already investing a lot in this area, and we're very pleased to see the leadership of the Vice President who will drive this process, working with all stakeholders across federal ministries, but also state governors and state officials, and all the other stakeholders to really accelerate. It's really about accelerating the efforts and the work in this area.
This engagement also highlighted the importance of robust monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning processes to ensure transparency and effectiveness in tracking progress. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Now, the Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit must redouble efforts in ensuring that federal government policies on food security are sustained. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the charge during the second meeting of the unit, constituted as part of efforts to tackle hunger. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila again reports.
The Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit is in a vantage position to catalyze the nation's food security drive. Inaugurated in July 2024 to come up with a food systems council to address food insecurity in the country.
So let's walk the talk. This presidential initiative is a very beautiful one. But we have a lot of beautiful presidential initiatives. From time immemorial, it's the implementation that counts. And we are at a unique position to really catalyze our challenges into progress. By next week, I will still commandeer the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning to visit IITA, push them hard so that the cassava value chain can be enhanced. You can grow cassava in the poorest of soils in the desert of Borno or Yobe or anywhere. Cassava is a very resilient crop that can grow almost anywhere.
Expressing hope of increasing availability in Nigeria, Vice President Kashim Shettima said the unit boasts of some of the leading lights in the nation's private sector, whose experience and contacts must be harnessed to drive the process.
We've agreed that we have to face it as an agribusiness, not forgetting the smallholder farmers, to make sure that all of them are busy where they are, and to make sure that we replenish our grain stocks. Our government will also, federal government and state government will also buy foods during this bumper harvest, so that we can store it for onward delivery, to the communities.
The rate of Nigeria where it is today, it makes domestic production highly competitive compared to imports.
As the proposal, we have some plans, especially the GIP, the Green Imperative program that is going to be supported by Brazil, and it's a 995 million euro program.
Voice is important on the table, and it's good that government understands the role that we can play in supporting to get that execution done.
The meeting called for a fundamental shift in the country's approach to food security, emphasizing the need for a better coordination between federal and state governments. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, Nta News.
Now, over 550 kg bags of rice and noodles have been distributed to the vulnerable in Ekiti State under the Renewed Hope Initiative Food Outreach Program. The wife of the President, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by the wife of the Vice President, Hajia Nana Shettima, said the initiative is focused on improving the life of Nigerians, especially the less privileged. Tayo Osho reports.
We launched the Renewed Hope Initiative Food Outreach Program in about 4 states in the country. It is now the turn of Ekiti State. The wife of the president said the initiative is conceived out of her passion for the less privileged in the country. She observed that the program has impacted many families positively. She advised the beneficiaries to desist from selling the food items as it is meant for them and their families.
We are dedicated to supporting our citizens, particularly persons with disabilities, youth, women, and children.
Wife of the governor, Dr. Olayemi Yebanji, expressed gratitude for the various interventions which has been beneficial to Ekiti women. She described the Renewed Hope Initiative Food Outreach Program as another impactful gesture that will alleviate suffering.
The provision of these food items is a symbol of hope and assurance that our leaders are committed to addressing the needs of the people.
Representatives of the beneficiaries appreciated the gesture. High point of the event was the symbolic presentation of food items to special school for the blind, special school for the deaf, and people living with disabilities in Ado-Ekiti. Tayo Osho, Nta News.
Now, with the delivery of 45 compressed natural gas buses to the Nigeria Labour Congress by the federal government, transport fare is expected to reduce for civil servants. According to the NLC president, the buses will be distributed across zones and select states to mitigate transportation costs. Our transportation correspondent, Ladibala, has more to tell us.
The federal government's initiative on compressed natural gas resonates with the growing clamor for an alternative to petrol, boosting Nigeria's economic growth. Inspired by the Nigerian Labour Congress's advocacy, the government took a significant step, providing buses to alleviate transportation challenges, particularly for civil servants.
Also, it's a good step taken by Mr. President to alleviate the economic situation that we're in.
The NLC leadership acknowledges receipt of 45 CNG buses, noting that while it is a start, more are needed. He outlined potential routes for deployment.
Gas deposit in the country, so that can last for the next 500 years. And we have to, maximize it, especially as a source of transportation. And it is clean source, it's clean energy. And that's why the labor movement have been pushing on it. Governments promised to make it 90. If all state governments acquire CNG buses, if companies, power starters and others acquire CNG buses, this revolution will go on.
The NLC president appeals to state governments to emulate the federal government's initiative, purchasing CNG buses to ease transportation costs nationwide. In Abuja, Ladibala, Nta News.
Now, Major General Olufemi Oluyede assumes full command as the acting Chief of Army Staff, sequel to President Bola Tinubu's appointment. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, announced this a symbolic ceremony in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
A symbolic ceremony ushering in the acting Chief of Army Staff, Major General Olufemi Oluyede.
The event today is something that is new, that has never happened in the history of the armed forces of Nigeria. But as human beings, we know situations will always present itself, and what is done with the situation is what makes the difference.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, in clear terms spells out the mandate of the acting Chief of Army Staff.
As professionals, we are to continue with our task ahead. No gap to be left based on the challenges we have in the country. And it's in the wisdom of the President and Commander-in-Chief that today we present the authority to the acting Chief of Army Staff for him to have full control and command of the Nigerian Army.
My appointment as acting Chief of Army Staff is simply to hold sway while Lieutenant General Nta News24 Chief of Army Staff is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention and preparate. And that I intend to do with the whole of my heart and loyalty to the Constitution, as well as Mr. President.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Torid Abiodun Lagbaja, is on a medical leave. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, Nta News.
Justice Obiora Egwatu on Friday granted bail to 125 alleged August 2024 protesters in Kano State. This was after they entered plea of not guilty. The defendants were charged with terrorism by the Nigeria Police Force, who alleged that the defendants intended to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu. Counsel to the defendants, Marshal, moved application for their bail, which was granted. Each defendant was granted bail with a sum of 10 million naira, a surety of someone not less than level 16 in the civil service, with a means of identification. Earlier at the commencement of arraignment, Justice Obiora suspended proceedings following collapse of some of the teenagers in court. Justice Obiora invited health personnel from the court clinic who attended to them. Defense counsel Marshal Abubakar attributed the collapse of some of the defendants to ill health and hunger, as he alleged they lack food and medical care in custody. This is the news desk at 11. We now take a break. More stories when we return. To stay with us. As Catholics all over the world celebrate the All Saints' Day on the 1st of November, Holy Family Society is joining the annual celebration, but this time with special activities to immortalize the late Most Reverend Patrick Ekbu, Archbishop Emeritus of Benin Archdiocese. Nta News24 reports that the celebration took place at the Holy Trinity Catholic Church, Maitama, Abuja.
A day to celebrate saints who have walked the path of faith and virtue. In the solemnity of the celebration, the presiding priest reminded the congregation that they too can be remembered as saints if they choose the path of righteousness and live a good life.
Let us know that sainthood is achievable, because all of these persons who are saints once lived on earth here, just the way we are also living on earth. They saw the sun, they saw the moonlight, they saw everything, they saw the hardships, they saw the joyful aspects and everything.
For the Holy Family Society, this year's celebration is special. They are launching Archbishop Patrick Ekbu Empowerment Initiative to immortalize the late Archbishop, who in year 2000 approved inauguration of the society in the Archdiocese of Benin. Aside caring for the needy, the empowerment program aims to win more souls for God.
And we are committed to support this great initiative, and I call on all well-meaning Nigerians, good spiritual people, to join and support this initiative so that we can evangelize more people to the service of God.
This is an opportunity for us to remember him. That's why 4 initiatives have been created to remember him, not just this year, but not just this generation, but generations to come.
Bishop Ekbu actually is somebody who is a philanthropy, who loved his parishioners and was so worried to, when with the economic crisis in the country. And we know that by this launching of his empowerment, wherever he is, he will be happy.
It is also the 24th anniversary of the Holy Family Society, and as members reflect on the vision of the founder, Sir David Osunde, they are appreciative of how the society has affected lives over the past 24 years. In Abuja, Nta News24, Nta News.
A community-focused organization, Abuja Christmas Village, is joining hands with the government in developing strategy of mitigating poverty, especially in rural areas of the Federal Capital Territory and beyond. This came to the fore during a planning session by management of the organization with a roadmap of reaching out to 5,000 beneficiaries cutting across community of orphans, widows and other vulnerable groups in the society in December 2024.
Founders and some members of the senior management team here put together relief materials for both the immediate and medium-term needs of those in need. And then we take these special need materials to communities, to orphanage care homes, and actually spend time with the children there.
We want people to come in and drop items for widows, for children, support us in any way. We're just calling on everybody. It's the festive period and we think we should give back. Too many people are suffering and we think this is our way of impacting our city. So that's what we're doing essentially.
The event is scheduled to be part of the holiday festivities, and the latest edition will be working towards upscaling target beneficiaries to be able to make great impact in Abuja. Now, to promote the interest of writers and protect their rights, the Association of Nigerian Authors reaffirmed the need for government's participation in creating an enabling environment for writers to thrive. This call was made by participants at this year's 43rd anniversary celebration and 2024 annual convention of the association held in Abuja. Garba Natala reports.
For more than 40 years, the Association of Nigerian Authors has been in the forefront of promoting Nigerian literature and developing indigenous talents, skills, and intellectual capabilities. It was founded by the late Professor Chinua Achebe during a conference at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. However, in the past 2 decades, the culture of writing has diminished. Many students no longer exhibit the same commitment to creative writing.
Getting the water, molding the blocks, yes, molding.
But Sadiq Mukhtar, a student, a young mind and talented writer, finds more creativity in ink than in speech.
I find interest in writing, and by this I think I write 5 poems, and I'm working on my book.
To cap it, all students and authors participating in the convention celebrate literature and advocate for the development of the book industry. This year's annual convention of the association brings together the academia, Nigerian authors and dignitaries to share their aspirations. With the theme, A Nigerian Writer in a Creative Economy emphasizes the vital role writers must play in changing the narratives of the book industry.
Generally, in the African world of that time, there were folk tales, legends, myths, traditional marriage songs.
It's not as if the reading culture has died out completely, but there are a lot of distractions. But we can work together, join hands together, and even employ some of both the human and material resources that Anna has.
The children are more on the internet. They read, and conditions their reading habits so that you don't want to read anything long, anything short things.
Literature will need to reawaken them and reawaken their consciousness.
In the meantime, the Literary Association has commissioned residency for its members to enhance their livelihoods during these challenging times. In Abuja, Garab Muhammad Natala, Nta News.
You're watching the news desk at 11 from Nta International, Nta24. Let's have a recap of our major stories. Vice President Shettima tasked Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit to redouble efforts in food security sustainability.
Cassava is a very resilient crop that can grow almost anywhere.
125 August protesters charged with terrorism offenses granted bail. Major General Olufemi Oluyede assumes full command duties as Acting Chief of Army Staff.
My appointment as Acting Chief of Army Staff is simply to hold sway while General Nta News24 Chief of Army Staff is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention.
This is Nta News24.
Now, as the Nigeria Union of Journalists Triennial Delegates Conference approaches in November, candidates have continued to tour states councils seeking support from members to lead the Journalists Union. Latest on the trend is one of the presidential aspirants of the union, NTA's Dele Atumbi, who was in Minna, the Niger State capital, to canvass for votes, promising to prioritize members' welfare and renew laws of journalism practice in Nigeria. Husseina Musa reports.
NTA's Dele Atumbi, one of the candidates seeking for the position of president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, was in Minna to interface with the delegates and members of the union ahead of November election. Atumbi's train-tagged rejuvenation team has a vision which focuses on strengthening professional development, enhancing media practitioners' welfare, fostering unity and cooperation among members, as well as promoting journalism's role in national development.
We will do everything possible to ensure that our members are protected, we improve on their welfare, we ensure training and retraining, we embark on infrastructural development at the National Secretariat of the Union, and to equally ensure that IIJ, in terms of infrastructural development, is not lacking.
Dele Atumbi boasts an impressive track record, having served as chairman Ondo State Council, zonal vice president and was the national treasurer of NUJ from where he stepped down to vie for the #1 position of the union. His extensive experience demonstrates his dedication and leadership prowess. During his tenure as Ondo State Council chairman, Atumbi facilitated the construction of a secretariat and re-engagement of some dismissed members, a feat described as milestone in the overall development of the union.
We came with a message of rejuvenation, with a message of capacity, with a message of innovation. These pillars will drive a new NUJ that will take the entire media practice in Nigeria to the next level.
The engagement was an interactive one as members took turn to share thoughts with the candidate and raise observation on his agenda. Emena Hussaina Musa, Nta News.
And that concludes the news desk at 11 on Nta News 24. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Justin Bemuyan. I say do have a wonderful night rest.